Shalom Yisrael, Shalom. So, we're going to go into today about the faithful and resistance, right? So, let's go into the book of Nehemiah, chapter 9, verse 7. Thou art Yahweh Dalahayim, who didst choose Abraham, and broughtest him forth out of Ur, out of the Chaldees, and gavest him the name of Abraham. So over here we have Abraham, right? Abraham is known as the friend of God because he required, he did everything that was required of God, right? Verse 8, and foundest his heart faithful before thee, and madest a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Gashrites, to give it, I say, to his seed, and has performed thy words, for thou art righteous. So over here we have, for Abraham being faithful in the heart with the Most High, he made a covenant with him to give the lands of these nations unto him. Right? So this is a good example of being faithful unto God and understanding the Lord and choosing his ways. Right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 26, verse 25. Genesis chapter 26, verse 25. And he built an altar there, and he called upon the name of Yahweh, and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Slack, yeah. Okay. 26 and 5. Slack, 26 and 5. Genesis chapter 26, verse 5. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statute, and my laws. See, verse 4. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and thy seed shall be nations of the earth be blessed, because thy Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandment, my statute, and my laws. So over here we have what? The land, right? These countries, right? The Most High sweared unto Abraham, right? And for us to be blessed, right? For us to be blessed, right? Because we come out of Abraham, right? So from Abraham obeying Most High and kept his charge and kept the commandments, we ourselves are in that same fraternity, We're in the same fraternity. That's the reason why we can claim our inheritance because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Let's go to Romans chapter 4, verse 2. Romans 4 and 2. For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath whereof to glory, but not before Elohim. So here we have Abraham was justified by works, he hath whereof to glory, right? But not before God. For what saith the scriptures, Abraham believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. So here we have, because Abraham believed in the Lord, believing God, that right there was worthy to count him for righteousness. Because anything that God told him to do, Abraham did. Verse 4. Now unto him that worketh is the reward not record of grace, but of debt. So, unto him that worketh is the reward not for record of grace, but of debt. You don't want to be in debt, right? Because he that worketh does not bring grace to him. He brings debt to him, because work, right? Form of working is a form of enslavement, right? Verse 5, but to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifieth the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness. So here we have someone that doesn't work, but they believed in God. They believed in God, right? And by him believing, that justifieth those who are ungodly, because since this person believes, those who are ungodly, surely he is separated from those guys. Verse 6, even as David also described the blessedness of the man unto whom God imputed righteousness without works. saying, Blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed the man to whom the Lord will not impute sin. Cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision only, or upon the uncircumcision also? For we say the faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness. And how was it then reckoned? Then he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. But he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith which he had yet been uncircumcised, that he might be the father of them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed unto them also. So here we have the covenant given to Abraham when the Lord told him that he has to circumcise his son on the 8th day, right? So before that, Abraham did not know anything about circumcision, so he himself was uncircumcised, right? But once the Lord told him to do that, he himself got circumcised, and then he circumcised his son as well. But those others around there, right, that law only pertains unto the Israelites, right? Those of Abraham's, loins, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? That line lets you know that we ourselves are separated because we ourselves are the ones to be under the circumcision law, right? We're not supposed to um circumcise other nations, right? But they themselves, right, from them being uncircumcised, the Lord is letting us know that He can circumcise their heart for them to follow Him. But that, that's all the Most High is doing right there, right? Because of Abraham. Verse 12. And the father of circumcision to them who are now of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps of the faith of our father Abraham, which he had being yet uncircumcised. For the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed, through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. It was not because through a law, it was because the righteousness of faith of Abraham. Because Abraham believed in God, right? He believed in God. And he did the works of God, but he was more justified because he believed, he had faith, right? He had faith. For that reason, by him believing and having faith, it was counted for him as righteousness, right? And the works backed him up, right? Verse 14, for if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect, because the law worketh wrath, for where there no law is, there is no transgression. Therefore it is of faith that it might be by grace to the end of the promise, might be sure to all the seed, not to the only which is of the law, but that also which is of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all. So over here, like I was saying, that law of circumcision only belongs to the covenant of Israel, right? But that does not mean that others outside the nation of Israel, just because they're not circumcised, right, does not mean that they can walk in the faith of Abraham, meaning what? Believe in God, because these other nations, some of them might walk in that circumcision of the heart, whether they believe in God and they follow God, right? So we cannot turn down no one's faith towards the Most High. We can't deny nobody's faith, right? But we can set things in order, right? Set things in order. So with that, let's go to James chapter 4 verse 7. James chapter 4 verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So the best thing for you to do is to resist the devil and submit yourselves unto God. So that way you can just start building that faith up to you and God, right? Because that's what you do. That's what you really truly need, right? Let's go to Sirach, 44:19. Sirach 44:19. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, Sirach 44:19, and it reads, once it just connects. Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him. So over here, an example, Abraham is a father unto many people, meaning he's the father of many nations, right? But not everybody received the covenant in the circumcision. Only Abraham, right? And his seed line, he passed down through his seed line, through Isaac, right? Through Jacob, right? But remember, Abraham had Ishmael. He made Ishmael and other nations as well, right? So for that very reason, those other people, they cannot be denied if they believe and they have faith, if they want to walk in the steps of Abraham through the faith. No. Let's go to the book of 1 Maccabees 2:52. Okay, 1 Maccabees 2:52. Alright. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? So over here, Abraham was found in temptation when he had to deliver his son as a sacrifice, right? That he himself was tempted in the flesh because he himself was, should I do it or should I not do it? Should I believe in God or should I not? But we all know that Abraham had faith to go do what the Most High asked him to do, and for that very reason, the Most High said to not offer up his son, right? But for him doing this, he was gonna get he got blessed. He got blessed because he followed the Most High's instruction. He believed in God. He had faith in God, and he overcame everything, right? For that very reason, it was imputed unto him for righteousness because he had faith. Right. So with that, that lets us know that we should have faith in our goings. We should have faith in our walks. And everything we do, we should have faith. Right. I'm going to get into that in another video, another segment.